Greetings.
Greetings. Welcome to Film Gazers, a podcast focusing on the science fiction, horror, fantasy trinity, and 20th century entertainment. I'm Steph.
I'm Jess. We're cousins slash besties. Join us as we reminisce, discuss, and review films from our childhood.
It's Big Back
Yeah,
November.
baby.
Baby back, baby back, baby back, Big Back
I want my baby back, baby back, baby
November.
back.
I think we're at that time where that is no longer a recognizable,
Theme song
probably,
or
maybe.
like jingle?
Yeah. Do you
No,
feel like we're that far removed? Do you feel
I
like
feel like
I
there's
feel like
enough.
I feel like a teen is not gonna get that.
I'll have to ask Gabriel later.
Yeah.
I'll ask
Yeah.
him if he. I'll
He's
sing
a
it for
perfect.
him.
He's 17. That's perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
He's perfect age
Perfect
to
sample group. Perfect sample group.
focus group.
Yeah, there we go. I need to know. So next
Yeah,
episode you got to
inquiring
tell
minds.
us.
I
Yeah.
will. Oh, let me. I'll write that
Yeah,
down.
write that in the notes.
Like, do you know what this is? I mean, he's pretty wise.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little cooler, so I don't know if you could say he was like the average teen.
He's a little more hip on the what's hip on YouTube's.
Yeah. So we're finishing this month, and it is the week of Thanksgiving, and we're doing it with Eat, Pray, Love.
Mhm. Appropriate feels like for the season.
Sure, sure. And then we will start Cannibal Christmas for December. We've
Hmm.
mentioned we're kicking it off with Ravenous. And
Yes.
honestly, I think we're still deciding on the second one. I haven't
Hmm.
quite made up. I've been looking, getting ideas, but nothing has been like, I really want to do this specific one. I have a few, but we need to discuss, see
Hash it
what
out a
you're
little bit.
feeling. Yeah, hash it out, hash it out.
Because mostly we
Um,
just wanted Ravenous. That was all we really cared about.
Yeah, and then when I was looking at lists of like cannibal movies, it turns out I like a lot of them.
You're like, I'm super into cannibals.
Like, yeah, I guess I am.
I mean, I gotta say, when I rewatched Hannibal, I was
Mhm.
like, he is so charming. I was like, I would totally be wooed and my brain would be eaten.
Oh my
He's
God.
got those baby blues.
So, what else have you been watching and doing besides dreaming of Hannibal Lecter?
um, I've been watching a lot, actually. I've been plowing through my November watch list. So I
Nice.
watched The Sound of Music, My Fair Lady, Into the Woods, Autumn in New York, Little Women, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh,
God
and
damn.
the Fantastic Mr. Fox
Ooh,
and
I
Mary
love that one.
Poppins.
Ooh, what a nice
Yes.
little list. And you've already watched all of those?
I've only got two on my list that I did not watch yet.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, because I was just putting them on and doing shit around it.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. No, for mine, I'm making it to where I'm actively focused on
Well,
them.
I wait. I mean, I was. I'll just rephrase that. I was spending a lot of time on the couch recently. Trying to make myself sound better than I actually am. No, no, I was just laying on the couch watching movies a lot
I mean,
lately.
you still could have, you still could have, I,
You twisted my arm.
I'm like, you could have kept lying. I don't care. I was
I
just
know. I
saying
was like, no, I haven't. No, because
I'm just talking about my focus has been not like super great lately. So I really like when I'm watching some of the movies that I'm like actively picked out, that I'm like, oh, I want to watch these this month. So I try to like just sit down and actually enjoy it, yeah, and
hmm
like has my full attention. And I also watch Little Women. And yeah, it was very cute. I enjoyed it. It made me also want to watch the 2019 one. I think Greta Gerwig did it.
yes,
Everyone raved about that in reviews too. So, but I still, when I was looking at which one I was going to watch, I was like, I'm still going to do the Winona Ryder one. I have to.
of course, because I hadn't seen it before,
I
and
remember
I don't know
vaguely
why.
thinking it was boring. Like, I don't think I ever saw all of it. I just think I thought I was like, because I was very particular
Okay,
about
Mrs. American
period
Quilt.
pieces. I That one's different. Okay.
Because I was like, both of these look boring. I don't want to watch either. But this one, I was
uh,
pleasantly surprised. It was really cute.
mhm.
I loved Winona. Autumn
Yeah.
in New York is trash. I don't know
I vaguely
why people
remember
like
that,
it.
vaguely remember it, and I think I remembered hating it. So
Into the Woods. I can't believe they got that many stars to play in that one, to be honest with you.
I saw you wrote that in the Discord, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't think you've seen, but I didn't respond. I was like, so I'm guessing I should skip that one then.
Yeah. It was like Cats to me. I was like, I don't think they should try to make theater movies into movies anymore. I think they should stop that.
I think
It's
they
not
should
working.
just stop.
They should just stop. It doesn't
You
come off well on film.
you are literally saying that when like Wicked is premiering, like so controversial. Controversial. That's a hot take.
Whatever. I mean, well, then do it better. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you haven't seen Wicked yet. Now you have to watch it and then you have to do a
I
mini-sode.
Yes, I guess I'll have to
Yeah.
now to give my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
And I've also been watching a few series on Tubi.
Nice.
One I recently finished was Lie to Me. It was a series with Tim Roth.
Oh, interesting.
It's where he like works with the FBI, but he's not the FBI. But he
He's
can
like a
read people so
consultant.
well. Yes.
Mm,
His businesses, people hire him because he can read people so well. He can just ask them questions and know immediately if he's lying and like what they're lying about. And that's how good he
fancy.
is at reading people. It was really like it was my new monk, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I
Ever.
started one. The This one was called Secrets and Lies,
Mm.
and it
Oh,
had
that one has
Mr.
Ryan Felipe, correct? I
Exactly.
saw that
Yeah.
because I think I mentioned where I started using Tubi too, and
Hmm.
I've seen it on there, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's
So how
actually
was
really
it?
good.
Nice,
I
nice.
haven't finished it yet. Because each episode is really long, but it's
Hmm.
good.
That's good.
Except it's one of those where you're like, why are you doing that? Like, don't stop. You're like, you fucking
Quit.
idiot.
So what is the main, like, who is he? Like, what is,
He's like basically a child is found um unalive. And he
oh,
was the one who found the body.
oh, and they're like, you fucking did it. You
And exactly. And he's like, no, no.
I just found it.
He's like, but here I'm gonna go stumbling through the bushes and be like, what? Well, I found some other evidence. They're like, mm-hmm. You found it. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay. So maybe I will give it a
It's basically that in a nutshell. But yeah, it's got some juicy stuff in there. It's good.
Oh,
It's
nice.
good. And that about wraps it up for me.
All right. I finished Dragon Ball Super. Dun,
Duh.
dun,
Dun,
dun. I
dun.
know. It was
Oh no.
it was good. I enjoyed it. They make a happy ending basically. So it was like a nice little bow on top.
Nice.
I'm happy with it. So we watched the Dragon Ball Super movie that is supposed to happen after the show ends, and it's called Broly. And
Broly.
yeah, because it's about Broly is used in a previous movie too. So there's kind of like some lore around the character. They did it a little differently this time with Broly and his dad had actually left the planet Vegeta before Frieza had destroyed it. And so they were in like this inhospitable planet, but they're fucking Saiyans, so they survived. When Frieza comes back, because like all this shit happens, and then their ship is found by some other like Frieza Force people. and Broly has like crazy power, but he can't contain it. And then he fights Goku and Vegeta, and then they finally do a fucking fusion, which you were waiting for. And this is what I was happy that Andrew had us watch the movie this close to after finishing the series, because through the whole series, I was hoping that it would build up in the last like climactic area that Vegeta and Goku were going to fuse again, but actually do the fusion dance instead of the earrings. I know if you don't know, yeah, if you don't watch Dragon Ball, it sounds insane. But I finally got to see it, and they did the fusion dance. And then they did the different fusions, and then you finally got to the one where they do it super correct, and then they're like the perfect fusion between Goku, and it was great. I also watched another movie on my like cozy watch list, which was Secret Garden.
Oh, I love
And
that one.
it was still like how I remembered it. And
Hmm.
also a lot I didn't kind of remember. I just remember the garden being so badass, and it
Of
was still
course.
super badass. Yeah.
The door
Ah, the
to get to the
door and the
garden.
key, the
Yes.
stairs, and it's just everything.
Magical.
I know there's components. It's one of those movies and books that you can really like dig into, and themes and
Hmm.
talk about the class and all of that. And you can, and I'm not downing anyone who maybe doesn't like the movie anymore because they're kind of thinking of that stuff in mind. That's completely understandable. But for me, I'm just seeing it from my childhood eyes and my nostalgia. And just
Right.
what a little bitch she was. And I just love that about her. Like it finally had a girl character that was like, she just wasn't that pleasant, and she didn't really
Right.
want to conform that much. And like in the beginning, she's a brat, but then like also she just kind of like stands her ground. And I don't know, I guess I just kind of related to that when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Where like, and then like I said, the fucking garden, like it's just so cool.
Yeah. Because as a kid,
uh,
you didn't remember any of the other stuff. You just remember the garden.
I was like, that's badass. And I remember
A
the
bitch in her
crippled kid.
garden.
I remember the bitch in her garden, and I loved it. that's, that's what I'm gonna call my secret garden.
A bitch in her garden. Perfect.
Yep. And then of course, I have my little fall asleep shows. We've been
Hmm.
going back and forth from Reba to My Wife and Kids.
Nice.
Get a little sitcom action. And these are like the unfamiliar sitcoms,
Hmm.
like I remember when they were on TV, I might have caught some episodes, but it wasn't in the top ones I was watching. And
Right.
so we're kind of yeah, catching up on some of those. Like I said, it's just kind of, yeah, this is now a whatever, where am I kind of fully paying attention? Maybe not. I might be on my iPad on Pinterest
Hmm.
or playing in my little
It's just
cat
nice to have
cafe.
something like that in the background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then every Friday, I'm still doing a British Bake Off on Netflix for me. So it's been good. I've been
Hmm.
really enjoyed the season and all the contestants, and the bakes have been fun. So what a way to end Big Back November.
Right. With food related watchings.
Yes. So in this episode, we watched 2010's Eat, Pray, Love. It was directed by Ryan Murphy. And yes, that Ryan Murphy that does American Horror Story.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I just thought that was bonkers when I was first looking up this movie, and I was like, wait, Ryan Murphy directed this?
You're like, that can't be the same
I
person.
know. I forget that he's done like he has a well-rounded resume, I think.
He's got range.
Screenplay by Ryan Murphy and Jennifer Salt. It was based on Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. It was produced by Dee Dee Gardner. It was starring Julia Roberts, James Franco, Richard Jenkins, Viola Davis, Billy Crudup, and Javier Bardem. Cinematography by Robert Richardson. Edited by Bradley Bucher. Music by Dario Marianelli. And let me see. It was released on August 13th, 2010. So this would have been a Jessica birthday movie.
Right.
Running time, 133 minutes. And it also has 140 minutes extended, which I think is the one I might have watched. I don't know. It was
Okay.
long.
It was, did you say 40 minutes? Oh, wait, yeah, because that's funny because the one I watched was an hour, like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, the one I watched was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay, well, I guess five
Hmm.
minutes wasn't
I don't
really
know. Yeah, that's not that big of a difference, I guess.
unaccounted for.
So
Yeah, it was way too long, way too long.
yeah.
And I
The
did not remember that. I apologize.
No worries. I forgive you now.
Now that it's over, finally.
But no, after the week I had, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this movie. I thought it was gonna be like an hour and a half movie. I thought this was like a little rom-com travel, type thing. And then I was like, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
You're like, what the fuck? Might as well
Like,
be three.
I know. I'm like, it's not even Lord of the Rings. It's,
It's
so
fucking Julia Roberts.
I know. I'm like, it's not even Dune.
There's no sci-fi involved at all.
I know. Yeah, no sci-fi or fantasy. And is this long? Why?
Why?
The budget was 60 million. The box office was 204.6 million.
Whoa, that surprises me.
Yeah. I know. I was like, this was not that good.
No, especially if they read the book.
Yes, and that's what I'm jumping into first is I did a little slight research. I found this couple of good articles. You can Google around and see a lot of people sharing their opinion on like the book versus the film. So just to give everyone a little insight into that, the book Liz uh expressed more of how she had a pretty unhappy marriage to an often unkind person.
Hmm.
I guess it also mentions about like unsuccessful efforts for pregnancy, like, and then kind of realizing she doesn't want to be a mom. Like, there was a lot of different stuff that is
Hmm.
compounded more than they even show you. I'm like, for this to be so long, they left out so much that would have made more sense.
Right.
Because she
And
even
that made you really care about her.
yeah, because I essentially don't care about her even in the
Hmm.
beginning of this. Because yeah, even in the book it says she goes like through depression, medication, like a lot of stuff happens and with her decision to make the trip to begin with.
Right.
Um, and basically there was even a paragraph from the book where she talks about how like she basically grew up like on a small farm and they had to be like the best in their classes. They were, did all this stuff on farm work, like just a lot of stuff. Like it was a good life, but like they had to work real hard for it. So like she
Hmm.
didn't know what idleness was. Like that's a big part, I guess, in the theme of the book is like she doesn't know how
Hmm.
to relax and like enjoy herself when
She
she's
doesn't
just
know how to do
there.
nothing.
Exactly. And like they do show that theme throughout the movie, but they don't express why that's so exactly important to her. Like
Hmm.
not really, So it's weird. It just felt kind of disconnected and especially so now like after reading all this. And the fact that like she does seem a little too rich and like not relatable in the movie, but in the book, it's she's literally getting to do it for her job. She like was able to get like a book deal, and
Hmm.
like so, what when they give you a book deal, they give you the money up front and then you're supposed to write the fucking book. Like so that's
Right.
what
About
she's
what you're
doing.
doing.
Yeah. And so they're like, and even a lot of the people I read said that they felt like that would have made her more relatable like
Hmm.
when I guess the production companies were thinking it wouldn't, that like, oh, this was her job, then like it wouldn't seem that, but like, no, it was not her job in the sense of,
What she was using it for.
yeah, exactly. Like, no, this was something she was doing, and then she made all these decisions and she got the deal, to help to support it, but she's still doing it for herself and then writing about it. I don't know.
And
Yeah,
basically had to fund it herself, not just like,
yeah,
oh, I'm just going to go do all these things.
yeah. Otherwise, it feels just kind of weird.
And no, it had no explanation of why she landed on these three places.
No, not
in the
at all.
movie.
Yeah. And then, of course, that's all done in the book because, like, apparently she was always into Italian. It wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. Yeah. So it's like a whole bunch of stuff where it's just like it would have made sense. It would have completely made
Hmm.
sense in the other capacity. And with it being so long, there was no reason to leave it out, in my opinion. So the book was listed as one of Oprah Winfrey's favorites, and that has is what led Julia Roberts to in look into the book, and then that was she actually did optioning the rights to make the film for it.
Hmm.
So she did have quite a hand, I guess, in it, and in that way. There, this was I just thought a funny thing the hostess role that Liz is asked to take on, and they're like, "Oh, you're the Susie Cream Cheese," and I even was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Susie Cream
Susie
Cheese.
cream cheese.
So it's a reference to the like almost waspish, like conforming, the sweet and shallow meme used in the work of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention on the 1966 counterculture album Freak Out.
That's very
So,
specific.
yeah. So I thought that was
I
very,
figured it
very
was kind of
specific.
like Susie Homemaker.
Yeah, they said it was similar to the term Barbie, even, I guess, like, yeah, like, I guess cookie cutter for sure. So they're saying that for it to be used in an ashram in India shows the influence that the American counterculture had on the
Mm.
small part of that kind of area. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because there was like hippies, like the Beatles, and Frank
Mm.
Zappa, like,
Right,
and they
right,
were like
right.
getting gurus and like, so I guess it's that, I guess it's a very specific reference. And we're not quite old enough to do that. I know who Frank Zappa is, but I would not have got that reference from like what
From
album
that,
it was.
no, not at
Yeah.
all.
So I thought that was cool. So I was reading that Julia Roberts was adamant about wanting to make sure they were all filmed in locations because
She wanted
why
to go
not?
there
Yeah. And I know. And that's like,
because I want to film there. Duh.
uh, yeah. And then I was reading a lot where they said, because, okay, first it says a lot of stuff was like, she's very adamant about wanting to film on location and really capturing, all the beautiful uh, shots and, the natural beauty of these places for that reason. But then I also read a lot basically saying that, oh, she was only going to do Bali if they took her whole family.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I just thought it was funny. So I was like, and they even talked about how all of the cast was like really ecstatic for the Bali stuff. So it just sounds like they all were like, yeah, vacation. This is I feel like this movie literally was just their vacation for
It
them.
was like how they funded their vacation, essentially.
Exactly. They just filmed some stuff while they were there.
Hey,
um
why
so
not get paid to do it?
Yeah. This is one of the very few PG-13 rated movies that uses the word motherfucker. And this is, of course, when her little guru, I call him her guru, because we never actually see her doing a lot in India besides hanging out with the old guy.
Yeah.
So the MPAA originally rated it R because of it using motherfucker. But apparently, the director and producer were successfully got it to be appealed somehow.
I thought you could have one fuck in a PJ-13 movie.
I think motherfucker might be different. I'm not sure.
Oh. But it's my favorite.
um,
They're like, fuck yes, motherfucker, no. Way too racy.
So, this was another thing, kind of like a book difference. There had been a lot of discord when they were filming in Italy for a little while because the city of Rome actually hosts two football teams. There's AS Rome and SS Lazio, and they're like big rivals as well. So in the book, she goes to see an SS Lazio match, but that team apparently I guess the AS Rome one is the more internationally known one. So the other one isn't. So the
Okay.
filmmakers were like, we're just going to switch it that she goes to the other team's match. It literally enraged the Lazio fans.
Well, yeah, because they're in the book, damn it.
Yeah, and they were like, and so there had to be like a whole like press statement that like no offense was implied and that Julia Roberts is not an AS Roma fan.
Oh my gosh. How
Uh,
dareth.
they were real mad. And now to end this fun facts on a really depressing note, just gonna throw it out there that Elizabeth Gilbert, who actually wrote the book and experienced this whole story, only was married to the guy who was played by Javier, Jose Nunez, for 9 years. And she ended that marriage after realizing her true feelings for another author slash musician and had been her hairstylist when they were young. It was a lady named Rhea Elias, and they had been friends for 15 years. Elias was not in the book or the movie, not any reference in that, but she's quoted to say, I do not merely love Rhea, I am in love with Rhea in 2017. And she has, I have no more time for denying that truth. Unfortunately, Rhea passed away and from pancreatic and liver cancer in 2018. So they
Oh
were
my
friends
God.
for 15 years and they had got to be partners for over a year before she had passed.
That's why she said she had no more time.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's sad.
Yeah. So just pointing out that this movie,
Tragique.
yeah, this movie is not the end of the story at all. I got a lot of this info from a Los Angeles Times article by Amy Kaufman, from an NPR article by Linda Holmes, and good old IMDb, of course. And with that, Jess is going to take it away with the You Googled Summer.
Liz Gilbert thought she had everything she wanted in life: a home, a husband, a successful career. But now, newly divorced and facing a turning point, she finds that she is confused about what is important to her. Daring to step out of her comfort zone, Liz embarks on a quest of self-discovery that takes her to Italy, India, and Indonesia.
So, what are your recollections of this film? As I have never seen it, I remember there was hype around it, but I guess I just paid no mind. I don't
I
know.
paid no mind,
I
no mind at
I
all.
even owned the book at one point. I think I may have read like the first couple of pages and then something happened. It was during there was this period when I really kind of got out of reading. Like
Hmm.
nothing was really ever holding my interest and stuff. And I remember I was going through like I was buying a lot of like random books or going to thrift stores, all of that. And then I believe it was one of those abandoned books. So I can't even that's literally my only memory.
Yeah, okay, so this movie came out in 2010. Gabe was 3 when the movie came out, but I had been reading the
Mhm.
book since I feel like before the movie came out, because I think the book came out around like either before he was born or like right around when he was born.
Probably, yeah. I think it was like '05 or '06, maybe.
Yeah. So I know
Hmm.
he was like a baby when I read the book, and I instantly like loved everything about it because of that she talked about her struggle with depression, she had anxiety, she had, was in a bad
Hmm.
relationship, and so I just felt so seen. And then like she got to, because I used to want to write when I was young until now I'm like, what words? Like, I can't write down words, but like being able to go travel and like write about it, that was
Yeah,
like my dream when I was young.
right. Like, oh my gosh.
It goes in the book. She talks more about her experience in India with like the meditation and the kind of like spiritual experience that she had there. And they didn't go into that aspect,
Yeah.
I felt like, at all.
No, they show her struggling and everything, but they still don't. Yeah, like I said, everything felt slightly disconnected.
Yeah, it was very surface.
Yes, everything felt very surface level in this, and they also made her seem very surface level as well. My overall impression is that she's a little too far up her own ass.
Yeah, basically. And
um,
everybody calls her fat throughout the whole movie. Everybody talks about her weight throughout the whole movie.
well, it's just wild that it's her weight or even just her size or her and the other girl when they're in Italy and getting the pizza and they're so thin already. And I mean this was 2010. So it felt like I'm
Hmm.
like so this was like the the dying vestiges of life where someone gave a shit about that
When they're doing the whole montage of the trying
with the
on their fat
jeans.
jeans, I was like, wasn't the whole point of you going up a size so you wouldn't have to squeeze into them?
Exactly. And then they're still trying. Yeah, exactly. They're trying on all these other. I'm like, those are definitely like sizes probably 0, 0. I thought you
Right.
needed fat person pants. So get a size. I mean, not 0.
Get a
It's-
size, not zero. And then she's like, I'll just take my big lady pants while I look at this ugly ass camisole. They're like, this is beautiful. I'm like, that's like basic slip. Okay.
yeah.
That's what you want in
Yeah.
Italy?
There was a lot of cringy parts in this film. So yeah, we'll just get into it. It begins with her the first time, yes, actually she is like on assignment or whatever. And she is meeting I get a guru guy in Indonesia and Bali. And it begins with like a narration, of course, like her talking over. And pretty much summing up the movie in the very beginning for you. You can just skip the 2 hours and 20 minutes. Just watch this part.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. Because he kind of gives her like a prophecy of sorts. Because of course she asks about her own life. And she talks about how, humans are just obsessed with like a love and the idea of love and yada yada yada, that kind of thing. Cause she's like, oh, I'm gonna ask about my boy problems. The guy basically gives her the prophecy that she will have one short marriage and one long marriage. So then also too, now knowing the outcome of what happened, I'm like, well, this lady's had 3 marriages, so we already know everything that this this guy has said was a lie.
Right.
so, so I also just want to point that out and ruin it for you too if you ever decide to watch this movie.
Also, maybe you had to, or at least that one failed marriage was because you obsessed about what this guy told you. Am I in the short one? Like, which marriage
I
am
don't
I in?
know.
The short one?
Well, because, and that's another thing that, like that article I had took snippets from was exactly that. Because they were like, in the movie, it just makes him seem kind of fumbling, but good natured. And like, he's so surprised by it and hurt, And apparently in the book, you realize he's like, I guess he's not really that nice of a person or anything. And
Hmm.
like, there was like other kinds of issues. It wasn't so out of left field, like kind of how the movie almost, yeah, it does imply it. So, yeah, so right from the get go, in my opinion, there doesn't, yeah, they don't make her very likable.
Hmm.
She's unhappy at least, but they don't give you enough to be like, oh, okay, I totally get why she's unhappy. I get, like, any of that. And I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be that way because she doesn't get it either. Kind of is the overall idea in the beginning.
Why she's unhappy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, because they you get snippets of her life before she asked for the divorce, and it's like, her and her husband and all these people are having babies and this and that. And again, I mentioned like what was in the book to this. In the movie they have it to where her friend says like, oh, basically had a hope chest is what we always called them.
Yeah.
And so, which is so funny because I'm like, ugh, hope,
Babies.
like just call it a baby chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she has basically a travel chest though, like that's kind of
Hmm.
her thing. So
That's
she
her
kind
baby.
of, yeah, so it's the things that are in the book, it seems like they're implying it in the movie, but I guess you're only going to get it if you had read the book. I mean, yeah, we know she has a travel chest. Yeah, but that her having a travel chest doesn't explain to me that she like everything else that apparently the book is going into. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they just give you that little bit. It's just, yeah, it's so surface level. It's not enough to really get to know
Anything about this woman,
anything
except that
truly, yeah,
she likes to
truly
jump from
about
person to
her.
person.
Yeah. Yeah, because like that's how the beginning of it is that she, yeah, leaves her husband. It's kind of a messy divorce. And they don't really imply either. They kind of imply that the husband just goes, he had like maybe didn't have a career or was jumping to things. Like apparently
Hmm.
that's been a problem. But again, they don't harp on it enough to make you realize what kind of like how big of a problem it was,
And
or
I
something
feel
like
like
that.
I think maybe she had like family money when the guru at the beginning of the movie said you lose all your money. I think that's how. Like I think
Mm.
her husband did take her money in the movie, and that's why she needed the book deal to fund the trip.
Yeah, because that would make sense. Because in the
I
movie,
could
I'm
be wrong.
basically assuming, yeah, because in the movie they talk about how she was willing to give him everything, and he went and signed the papers, and then he
Hmm.
does. But they don't tell you. Does that mean he got all the
No,
money?
they tell you nothing.
Like they don't tell you any of that. So
Hmm.
again, it's like, and that's whole it's like, and I'm like, if that's part of the prophecy, like tell us if it, because him just saying he signed the papers and then, yeah, I don't know. I don't realize that, oh, she's been working hard her whole life. Like she seems like she might just be some like Nepo kid who got a job at a newspaper. I don't know. Like they don't tell you is the whole
Right.
thing.
Like who is she?
And then she writes like a shitty play.
Yes, and I didn't even know that was supposed to
that
be her play at first. They didn't even like
I
kind
know.
of clue you into it because I'm like, why are you dressed up to go to this like shitty art house? Oh, this is your play? Oh, congratulations.
And people literally walk out
And said
and
this is shit.
like,
Like they were offended.
yeah. And she Max on James Franco, who, by the way, like just kind of disgusts me in this movie, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
He's very skeezy in this movie.
Yeah, he just looks real skeezy.
Hmm.
And he came in for a neck kiss first, like, and I
Mm.
didn't like that. Yeah. So basically they in the play, there's a whole shitty scene about it, about how she talks about what was it like permeable membrane or something like that. And talking about and again, so surface
Dolphins
level. So they're
clap.
yeah, like they basically express that like pretty much like when she's in a relationship, she basically just becomes that person almost. Like
Right.
all things that she once was interested in, whatever, are gone. And then they basically show her, yeah, and then they show her doing that with the David yoga guy.
Yeah, because her
And then,
friend's husband was even talking about that.
yeah, and then she just still continues to do it, but they kind of show more of that. And they do show her struggling. But again, it doesn't dive into the magnitude that apparently, all of this was supposed to have been like building up for this woman.
Hmm.
So I just feel like, yeah, they didn't convey this stuff right. They conveyed it, but eh.
Because I remember even in the book, she was struggling, like, even while she was in Italy, she was still struggling with her depression.
Yeah, because she just gets to Italy and like everything's great. I met this girl and we're best friends, and I have all
Yeah,
these friends and family here now.
right.
I'm like, is this how extroverted people like connect with people? Are they instantly like, oh my God, we're friends and we're gonna have this thing,
Maybe.
and oh, you have to meet my friends. And I'm like, you just met these people. You're not really like friends, are you?
I I think that is how they are.
Could you imagine meeting someone and then actually hanging out with them like again as soon as even within a month's time?
No,
Like,
never.
like
It's gonna
how
take
long
me a
was she in
year to
Italy
like
for?
I think she's supposed to be
Yeah.
there for like 3 months and in each place, I thought.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's like 90 days. Not a substantial
Yeah,
amount
I
of
feel
time.
like, yeah, I'm like, that's not a huge amount of time to be like, oh, we're all, I
We're
guess the
having
tutor thing though,
Thanksgiving.
if you're learning the like language and stuff like that, that is a little different.
Yeah. I did love her when she goes back to buy herself the negligee and she's wearing that navy blue sweater and she
Hmm.
has her hair up and just her bangs down, like straight bangs. I thought that
Yeah,
was a very pretty
it
look
was
on her.
cute. It was. She was very pretty in this film.
Yeah, she was. And I was like, how? I think she was supposed to be like 40 in this movie. I think that's how old she is during this time period,
Oh,
around
I thought they
like in her
said
40s.
31.
What?
Yeah, that's
No, but
why
I
I was
mean Julie Roberts in
confused.
real life.
Okay, yes,
I
yes.
was
That
like,
makes
there's no
more sense
way she was 31 in
because I just
2010.
yeah, because I felt like after seeing that too, where I was like, oh, this girl was supposed to be like in her early 30s, like she'd been playing house basically in her 20s
Right.
kind of situation, got married a little younger and then realized by 31, oh shit, like yeah, this isn't what I wanted. And I wish even if they would have expressed it more of that way, a little bit more in the first act, as we call it.
Right.
Even that would have made sense. But then she's Julia Roberts. She doesn't, I mean, yeah, like she looked good, but she didn't look 31.
No,
Like
she looked like a
to where
mature.
it did
Yeah.
make, yeah. So it made her feel like older and in a different stage of her life.
I looked it up. Julie Roberts' age in 2010 was about 43 years. It says on
Okay.
Google.
See, yes, that would make sense.
Yes. Not old, but she ain't no 31.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. So, and another thing about this movie is I feel like it's very formulaic for like the stereotypical kind of like epic drama.
Hmm.
Like it's on Forrest Gump, but Forrest Gump did it perfectly. So
Oh,
no
for
other
sure.
movie will ever achieve that again.
No.
Um that might be a hard stance for some, but I support it. Forrest Gump is a masterpiece. Anyway,
Yes.
but
I
I feel
fully
like though
agree.
it has that, yeah, it has all the elements of, like I said, yeah, the Italy, and then now she's going and she meets a couple of characters there, but that's a little still, it is kind of more about herself and the food, and it shows her kind of going in, starting to look inward and everything while still having this like support system of people.
Hmm.
And then she goes on to India to meet the guru. And that was another thing. In the book, she was like had been practicing yoga for a long time and stuff. And she did do certain, like, so this wasn't something that was specifically a David thing. And so they really made it seem that way in the film, that oh, this was the thing she took on. That's her permeable membrane was
Was
the
the
yoga guru
guru.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was like art, she was into that stuff already. So they also kind of didn't show us that, which that would have made a lot of more sense, because I did think it was weird that I'm like, she's just gonna go to this like guru place that, and she like just got into this stuff. Like,
And they gave you kind of no time estimate on how long her and David were even together.
yeah, not really. Like, yeah, it did feel like the timing was all a little unknown. And then her even then calling him when she was there, because it's bringing up past feelings and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And she meets like this guy from Texas, who's very obnoxious, and you like do not like him at first, which is
Nope.
oh, he's supposed to be rough around the edges,
Calling her
and
fat.
yeah, yeah, calling her groceries.
Yeah. Because you like them
Which
groceries.
I know. And I'm like, she's eating the same amount of food that everyone else is eating. It's like a cafeteria plate.
Right. But she's got a
So
big
all
meal.
the portions are the same, right? I'm like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe you
because
can
she's
get
like
double
a six
helpings.
foot tall woman.
Yeah, she is very
She's
tall.
6 feet tall and a size 0. Give her a break. She
Right.
needs some nutrients.
If she wants to eat, let her fucking eat.
I know. Like, I know. I really don't know how tall Julia Roberts is. I'm pretty short, so I imagine she's a fairly tall woman, though. She always seems like she would be. Let's
She,
look it
or
up.
if not, she's got very long legs at least. She's 5'8".
Oh, she's 5'8". But that's hey, I'm only 5'2", so that's
Yeah,
still
good
very
six
tall to
inches.
me. There we go, 5'8". Well, because when she wears heels next to George Clooney, that makes sense because George Clooney is 5'11".
We
And then she
must.
always looked like she
I
was
have
kind of like
exactly the same information in front of me. I'm like, George Clooney's basically 6 foot. I always thought he was shorter than that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yummy.
interesting. Lord.
Didn't know you're that tall.
This isn't an Ocean's 11
I
movie.
know, right? I just fucking love George Clooney.
So her time in India, she basically starts learning how to meditate and she does a little emotional healing with her little Texas friend. And it's fine. I don't find even the relationship yet like as endearing, I think, as it's supposed to be.
No, not at all.
Um,
And then he's got you all keyed up like he ran over his kid. And he's like, but he's
I know
fine.
yeah, they're fine. He turned 18. I'm like,
Yeah. You're like, fuck you. You ran away because you
I'm
didn't kill
like,
him?
well, no, the whole thing was that his family ran away because I guess his wife saw him pulling in drunk.
Right, right.
Where if the kid would have been there,
But
he
he
would
said
have
the
got
kid is like
hit.
super sweet, so it makes me feel like the kid still has something to do with him, and then he ran off to this ashram.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, yeah, go find yourself, dude. Go find yourself.
I know.
My favorite part though is when she's like, after they, I don't know if they went out together or they were doing something, and they came back to the place that they were staying, and she was
Mhm.
it's like, no, I'm really tired. I'm gonna go to bed. And he's like, no, get up to the roof now so I can tell you my trauma.
Oh.
I was like, I'm really tired. I don't want to hear about this right now.
Ah. Yeah, it was just weird. And everything when I was reading a lot about this, because I even did a little notes before I was watching the movie, just trying to find where I was going to get info from and everything. And everyone kind of described it because some people did complain about the length of time and then they're like, oh, maybe not as many shots of pasta or, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of expecting a little more landscape shots. I feel like I did not get enough of those at all. Everything, like I said, this movie felt so centric to Julia Roberts
Hmm.
and everything else just felt just second fiddle. Like even when they did give you like a landscape shot, it was in this weird like overexposed and like oversaturated kind of like filter. I did not like it.
I felt like the only really like landscape shot we got was in Bali. I feel like everything else was like I got nothing. Like I remember no beautiful scenery at all.
Yeah, I remember some shots in Italy too of the streets and everything.
But that's it pretty much.
Kind of, yeah.
Because
Like I said,
India, they just
everything.
stayed in that one area.
And they had the beginning when she was first going to like where she needed to get to in India, which would be panic inducing. I don't think I can ever go to India.
Hell no, after seeing
I
that.
no, I there's too many people and the streets and the way it is, like
Mm-mm,
I would
mm-mm.
just and I would just be in panic mode the whole time.
Exactly. That even being in an ashram, like, yes, that sounds cool, but being in a room with all those people chanting, I don't think I could
Yeah,
handle
just
that
like that.
either.
Yeah. No, no.
Nope. Too many people.
So as we mentioned, she gets to Bali. At this point, the movie is so long that you're just kind of like, okay, you're in Bali. Let's get this over with. Talk to the other toothless guru guy.
Talk to your Christmases. Those Christmas past.
Oh,
Get it
right.
over
Yeah. Like,
with. Hurry up and Dickens out of here.
so she happens to meet more expats, and Javier is one of them. And I have to say, I've never found him attractive. I know a lot of people like him. I don't really like him.
I do in other things. I did not in this one. I thought he was weird. He was very
Yeah, he was
off-putting in this movie to me.
a weird character, I feel
Yeah.
like.
The way he was like, it is time to have sex now. Like,
Like,
no
weird.
thanks. You can see that she's actively reading her book and not looking at you. The closer you walk, the more she's reading her book. You can't tell. Subtle clues there, Javier.
Yeah,
Not
so
picking them up.
she gets to know him, and then some more of the expats, and then she also gets to know a woman named YN who lives there on the island. She's like the medicine woman.
Hmm.
She's also divorced, and which is very looked down upon. Uh, she says, and they've had to move around a lot, her and her daughter, and all she ever wants is a house. So they at least show her doing one good thing for someone else,
Hmm.
which is now that she's kind of towards the end of her journey, she does email all of these rich assholes she's met, and she's like, yo, this is this lady. She needs a fucking house. So give me some fucking money.
Would have been better if she phrased it that way.
I know, no. Instead, she writes this really nice letter and they have a whole little montage.
And everybody's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And they do. And $18,000. So I was like, damn, yeah, she does have some rich friends.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a for like just that many people. If I were to ask that many people for donations of anything, I do not think I would come back with $18,000.
I think it depends on what it was,
Uh,
but no,
I mean,
not
even
that
for
kind of
2000,
money.
for 2010, I feel like I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah, right. I forgot it was
Um,
that long ago now.
so you do get that. Oh, because we did forget to mention the whole thing in India is also the little girl that she meets, Tuti. And that was again
Hmm.
something so self-centered because like they show you that Tuti does not want to get married, that she is like
Oh,
kind
right,
of
right, right.
inspired by Julia Roberts.
I thought
And
that
she
was the name of
openly
the little
complains.
girl, not the one in.
Oh, maybe it is. Okay,
Yeah,
you
I
might
think
be
you're thinking of
right. I
the
can't
name of the little
remember.
girl in Bali.
Oh, that's her. Okay. I'm getting character names mixed up. But
Yeah,
either way,
yeah.
the young, yeah, the older, like the 17-year-old or whatever
Hmm.
that they're like putting in an arranged marriage. And then Julia Roberts just like knows this girl doesn't want to do it. I understand that, what can she do? Is she, like I get it. Like the girl's just doing something in her own culture, but I'm like, they actively talk about how she doesn't want to do it, and then she has to do it anyway. And then Julia Roberts like tries to be nice. It's like, I've been dedicating my like meditations or whatever to you. But I'm like, so? Like, and
Oh, and you look very happy in
and
them.
then
In my mind, you're happy.
yeah, she's basically like, well, I'm just gonna pretend like you were happy during this time, and I didn't just watch a child bride be married off, basically.
Right.
Is what it kind of feels like. And and then when she's like, even so, she's smiling through this whole fucking wedding that, like I said, under the pretenses and what you should not be smiling. And then when she is being serious and not looking happy, it's when she's thinking of her own fucking self and her own marriage.
Right.
Yeah, finally do something for someone else. We needed that redemption at the end.
Right.
So it's kind of it. Again, she spends mostly the Bali trip ignoring Katat, that's the guy's name, the guru guy. And
Yeah,
he's been her whole focus, and then I guess that makes her worried, yada yada yada. She ends up with him, of course.
of course.
Meets his kid, like everything goes fine. They have a little back and forth, the usual romantic movie kind of.
Well, she won't. She, oh, she can't. Oh, she can.
Exactly. He's like, what are you waiting for? Don't be scared.
She's like, I'm afraid of your giant head. He looks like a lion to me. He's got like a big, broad
Uh,
lion face.
yes, that checks out. Yes, I back that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was pretty much it. I didn't like it, I'll be honest. I was not about this
Mm-mm.
movie. I will never watch it again.
Yeah, I think I'm good on it too, because I'm like, God, this movie was terrible.
I
Especially because the book was so much better.
Yeah, you have the book reference too. And then even as I was watching it, I'm just like, oh, a lot of this will probably make more sense if it's in the written word, because you can get more of her motivations and things like that.
Right.
How I felt kind of about with Little Women the same way. Well, I did really like the movie better than I like this movie. There was still a lot of stuff where I'm like dying to kind of know what Joe was thinking. So,
Yeah, when
um,
especially because he marries her sister
I know it's so
and her
bonkers. So yeah,
little
I'm like, I
sister at that.
gotta, yeah, exactly. So this is I feel like this is the same type of adaptation where I'm like, I have to read the source material to really gather an opinion on this tale. On the
And
movie, I can say for Eat, Pray, Love, no thank you. But I might
hmm
still at least give the book a shot. Yeah.
yeah. Now you know what I was saying when I said no, I didn't like
Yes, it all makes sense.
it. So bottom line, Julia Roberts still looked pretty in this movie. She was still a
Yes.
pretty woman. Did it.
Slightly better wardrobe. Well,
I
I mean, in
frankly,
that,
I don't even remember what she's wearing really, except for that navy blue sweater.
right, the navy blue sweater. And yeah, well, that was Eat, Pray, Love. And that
Hmm.
ends Big Back November. As always, you can find us on the social media at Film Gazers. That's Instagram, Facebook, X, I guess, and Threads. But I don't know. I think we're in that weird area where social media is in between, and we don't really do TikTok. So if you want to
Yet.
be a little more interactive, yet, yeah, we don't do TikTok yet. But if you want to be more interactive with us, you can check out our Discord. We're the Film Gazers podcast community on there, and that's where you can see a little more of our musings. I've been trying to keep up more, taking random photos of what I'm watching at different times, things like that. And we'll also sometimes we update things sooner on there because we're actually talking. You can see the creative juices going sometimes.
Oh.
Ah, so with that, time to hit the dusted trail.
Until next time.
Later,
Later,
taters.
taters.